Hey, hello everybody. And I know it's been a while since I've posted anything on YouTube. I've been working primarily with Captivate and putting content up for the Let Spirit Speak podcast. And I have been moving a lot, so there's been a lot going on in the background. And thank you for the encouraging comments that I have seen, and I promise that I will write something back to those people who've been so kind to write in and say thank you for this work and please keep it up. And I do intend to, and we're getting settled down now and moving on. But this particular uh, video, this recording, it's I wanted to talk a little bit about of a journey I've had with stem cells. I have had an issue that has plagued me for a long time in my life, for a good 40 some odd years, and it had to start with my an accident I had when I was 18 years old in a field on a motorcycle, of all things. And yes, I can just hear all the thoughts from all the psychics and sensitives out there saying, but didn't you know not to get on that bike? Yes, I did. I had the dream the night before. I don't want to hear about it. Been down this road enough times with myself. It was a very difficult period of time in my life. My parents were dead. I had very difficult time with the personal issues with various relationships and step parent, etc. And so all I can claim is that I just didn't listen well enough, and I let my own depressive state get in the way. But the result being was I had a motorcycle accident. It was my first and last time on a motorcycle, go figure. And it has plagued me all my life. And then it suddenly just started to take quite a turn in 2020, 2021. It got much worse. And I realized it was changing and the injury was progressing, and it was in several spots, all on my right side, of course, particularly my back and, of course, my S1 and into my right hip. So that whole right side of the body. So anyway, I started talking with people. I love playing tennis, have to admit it. And of course, I will always be a die-hard Roger Federer fan. You just can't beat that level of intelligence and elegance. It's just too beautiful to watch and behold. But um, as I started to play again in around 2019, 2020, after about 8 months, suddenly my right hip started to talk to me in ways that it had never talked to me before. And I knew I was getting into newer territory with the issue. So I was fortunate enough to talk to some people on the tennis court, and several of them, one in particular who was my coach, and I Derek Wallenstein, I would see him twice a month maybe, and we'd have an hour session, and then I was just playing. And he told me about some places where I could go to look into stem cells, partially because his brother had had it done and had great success with it for his knees, albeit much younger than me. So I had a couple of different types of procedures. And the reason why I want to share this is I really want to encourage people to look into this, because if you are dealing with a mild or moderate issue with a knee or hip or shoulders, stem cells and or PRP, blood plasma rich platelets, are a very good option for you, and they may very well work and fix the situation. My hip was very advanced. As when they got to it and discovered everything that was going on with it, I was told that it was in the latter stages of um, usability. Let's put it in the nicest possible terms. And of course, they said, well, within 2 years, you're going to need a full hip replacement. At which point, I had a few choice thoughts. I won't use the phrases that I was thinking of while I'm here on this channel. But yeah, they, I, they would work in certain types of music very well with certain phrases that were going through my mind. So Derek told me about a gentleman in Kelowna, Dr. Pageon, who is actually allowed to do a study. It's a study that the government has given approval for of stem cells and the effects of stem cells on certain injuries to do with knees and hips in particular and shoulders. I couldn't find anywhere else in Canada that allowed even that. So you can get a hold of him. Just look up Dr. Pageon Kelowna. It'll pop up. You'll have no problem. You have to enter the study, and yes, it does cost money, and you'll have to look into that for yourself. However, the type of stem cells they use is they take it from your body. So it's either going to be through your fat cells or it's going to be through your bone marrow. And so for mine, it was from my fat cells, and they did the procedure, and there was improvement. It did not make it perfect, but there was improvement. They also follow you up with, after the stem cell shot, then they give you a PRP shot a month after the stem cell, and another PRP, plasma rich placement, plasma rich platelets, or also known as blood plasma, which is all your own material. So they take it from your body. This isn't taken from any uh, un it's not sourced out. It's your material. So that's I like that myself. I think that's a better route to go in terms of possible types of, I don't want to say contamination, but let's say crossover of cells that may not really be yours, and it produces something else possibly in the long run. I think that area still needs some study on, but there was definitely improvement. It was noticed by him, Dr. Pageon, excuse me, my chiropractor, my massage therapist. Okay, so that got me to a certain stage, and I thought, okay, that's better, but we're nowhere near it yet because running was not really good. Impact was also noticeably difficult. Any type of impact in my movement. So, long story short, I ended up going down through Denver to a place called Regenix, and this is in Broomfield, Denver, Colorado. Dr. Schultz and Dr. Centeno run that particular franchise, and they're both very well known in the stem field uh, area. They both have been doing it a good 20 years. It's well monitored, and in fact, Dr. Schultz has been in talks with the FDA about establishing stem cell criteria procedures in the United States, because it's a bit of the Wild West when you go down there. It's very open, which is great because you get choice and you can research, which you cannot do in Canada, but you have to know where to go. And I found out about the Denver clinic through Dr. Pageon, who was trained down there. You see how the link is now. So it was fairly clear. So anyway, I went down there, sent them my information, my scans, my MRIs, my X-rays, etc. And they said, okay, this is where you're at. We're going to do this for your back, because up in Canada they can't do stem cells into your back or PRP. At least I couldn't find that, and Dr. Pageon wasn't allowed to do that. It could just be the joints themselves. So when I got down to Denver, they went through my back. They only did PRP on my back. They did stem cells into my hip. In Canada, they couldn't put it into the bone. They could only put it into the joint. And these are different. These, you have to look this stuff up. I could go on for hours. This video could end up being 3 hours of me talking about the whole procedures, but you need to research and you need to look at it. So On this particular procedure, it was basically the same as Canada. They withdrew the stem cells more or less the same way. The difference was they could actually shoot some of it into the bone. For me, I needed the femur, the acetabula, the whole area done. Yes, anybody who knows those parts of the body and have dealt with hips and knees, etc., knows when I say the femur and the acetabula, you know then that there's been some degeneration on the femur and the acetabula, etc., etc., etc. So I went down, had that done, and they did my back. So it was very noticeable very quickly that my back responded incredibly well, very fast. The hip, better, but again, not there yet. So something that was suggested to me when I was there, and actually before I went down there for that one particular procedure, they have an outlet in the Cayman Islands. And this is where they used cultured stem cells. So again, it's still your stem cells, but the difference is this. If you choose to go down to the Caymans through Regenix, what they do is you go down, they withdraw these stem cells and they take them from your bone marrow. They keep them for 3 months. While you're there on the same day, they take about a pint of blood from you and they separate the plasma from the blood and they use your plasma to feed your stem cells. They also filter the stem cells so that they get the best stem cells possible. For 3 months, the stem cells are growing, more or less. You're getting more stem cells, bang for your buck. So then I went back down in December. So I had the withdrawal in the Caymans in September. 3 months later, I went back. That was for me, December 5th is when I had the injections. And there is a noticeable difference. It's only a month in to the healing process. It can take 6 months to 16, possibly 18 months before you get the full effect. Now, full disclosure, my hip bone has some what they call dead bone. So it may very well be that I get an effect and it's good for a couple of years and then maybe not so much. But you have to appreciate and understand that my hip in particular was late stage. It wasn't mild or moderate. Mine was kind of end stage. Let's just go cut that baby off and that head off and put a new hip in there for you. And I'm like, no, I like my organic material. Thank you so very much. So, this is a process as well for me. So I am very healthy. My diet is incredibly good, kind of stupid. And I'm doing all the physio, all the right stuff. Now today, not so good today. The hip was very stiff today. It was touchy. Whereas yesterday it was really good. So it's the healing process with this, particularly with my hip, is I call it the stock market healing curve. So we have days that everything goes up and days that some things go down and some things go up. But the overall is this. We just don't know where the peak is going to be and how far that's going to go. I'm not playing tennis right now, obviously. I'm not impacting it at all. Stretches, I have at least 20 different physiotherapy moves, exercises that I'm doing here at home. I am going to the chiropractor. I see my massage therapist. I see the physiotherapist. A week after this treatment of the cultured stem cells being inserted into my body, it was noticeable suddenly on the 12th of December when I was flying home and I had to stop in Toronto and had to wait for my connection plane and my connecting flight, sorry. And I was walking through the airport that it was noticeable that my hip was much, much better. Much, much better. I couldn't believe it. I was actually almost in tears because I could walk really, really well. Got home, was exercising. I'm going to the gym. I'm lifting weights. I'm doing very non-weighted um, exercises in the gym for my legs because I'm not putting weight on it yet. Although it's been 4 weeks, but I'm being fairly careful. And the week after I got back, around the 19th, the hip went off a bit. Wasn't so good. And then just after Christmas, around the 28th, 29th, it got a whole lot better again. Like a lot better again. And then the last day or two here, well, particularly today, bit touchy. So we'll see where this goes in the next week or so. I'm not going to be making a video every day. I will probably make one once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks regarding this, because I really want people to know that this process works and that I am an extreme case. My hip is in the extreme range of, it's a Hail Mary on my hip. For my back and other parts of my body, that's fine. And my back has definitely improved. There's no doubt that my back is there's more movement. It's my muscle tissue on my right side in particular is much softer. I've always had this lump around L4, L5 going out to the QL area. Certain people will know what that is right away. And all down into the S1 where it was just this lump of scar tissue. And I've been dealing with this since I was 18. So I've been through many stages with this throughout my life where, I've been able to be very active and then I've had to be very careful for a week or two. I go to my chiropractor, I get IMS treatments, I get deep tissue therapy. I'm good for another month or two. And that window over the years of the moments that was good was getting less. And obviously when I started to play tennis, being an impact sport, and I'm not the type to go out there and go, oh, I'm hitting the ball, isn't that nice? I'm going out there to win. This is all in, but people, when I do something like this, it's all in, and I'm out there, and I'm in, 1,000%. And I can't do it any other way, and I don't want to. So if I can't do it that way, I don't want to do it. It's not fun for me. And we all have different personalities, and we have to understand that and respect that. So that's okay. I'm good with that. And I know that means that I have to be realistic and sort of assess the situation. But for the people in Canada, particularly if you're in BC, Dr. Pageon, and it's a study that the government has approved, so it's all fine for all those Canadians that need to know that the government is monitoring your the medical procedure. Then that'll suit you. For those of you who are like me, who had multiple injuries, areas of difficulties, you are going to need more than that. And so I do suggest the States, just from my own personal experience. I do suggest Denver. The other Regenexx outlet that was suggested to me was the one in Oregon, Portland. Look into that. I didn't. Partly because Denver was easier for me to get to at that time. So you have to work that out, right? I do know that the Regenexx in Denver has a very good reputation. Like I say, this is not new. This is not 5 or 10 years old. They've been doing this 15, 20 years now. Lots of success. Lots of people go. This is not, pie in the sky. My situation is different. And I am a late stage receiver. And I will say this again and again, particularly for my hip. When it came to my back, they went into muscular regions that are around the vertebrae, etc. They did not shoot into the discs, but around it, which is very helpful as well. Helps to strengthen the muscles, relax them, rebuild tissue. So you're definitely getting benefit. So, and then if you're out of the mild and moderate range, I would strongly suggest that you take a look at Caymans, the Caymans for this. There is again Regenix through Denver. That's the group that has their satellite office in the Caymans. I don't know how far this will work for me. I do know I have improvement. That's for sure. How far that improvement will be, I'm going to let you know over the next months to come. And research yourself. Read. It's not that difficult to find information. Regenix Cayman, Regenix Denver. The head doctors are Dr. Schultz and Dr. Centeno. Broomfield, Denver, Colorado. Broomfield Interlochen, actually, Denver, Colorado. And you just type that in, it'll pop up. It's Google, you'll find it, easy peasy. You can make phone calls, you can ask questions. They're very good. They know their stuff. They know exactly what they're doing and what they're about. Blood plasma is much cheaper than stem cells. Not everybody needs stem cells. Some people just need the blood plasma shots, and you will heal up quite well. It just depends on the how far the degeneration has gone. I would encourage everyone either going to get this done or is going to get it done, and then you already know it's already booked up and you're in to have the procedure. Make sure you've got a good physiotherapist to work with you afterwards. Make sure that you have a plan with your diet. Make sure that you are researching the supplements that help build bone and cartilage in particular. Don't get the shots and then sit there and say, okay, well, the stem cells will heal me or the PRP will, and I don't have to do anything. No, you need to be doing therapies. You need to help it. You can help it with diet, vitamins, supplements. They will tell you to stay away from anti-inflammatory drugs, aspirin, Advil, anything like that, particularly for the first 3 to 4 weeks after the procedure, because anti-inflammatory medications cause the stem cells not to work as well. So for the first 3 or 4 days after the shots, particularly in the Caymans, I had a lot of pain. They will give you pain medication. You can decide if you want to take it or not. I chose not to because I knew the type of pain medication they were giving me wasn't going to work with me. And so I was very happy I didn't. You hobble along. You have some pain for a few days, big deal. You'll survive. And if the benefits will outweigh the discomfort for 3 or 4 days. So I can give more information, and I will. My next video I'll make shorter, and I'll have clips of information. But if you type in all the names and places that I gave you, it will all come up. It's worth a look. When you contact people, you don't have to worry about payment. It's just, you're having a conversation. So have a conversation. Find out. You can type questions to me if you want. Oh my God, who knows how many questions we'll get. At alanjohnholmes@yahoo.com. I might regret that, but okay. There's not much more I can tell you that way, but I can definitely tell you that you will have benefit of sorts. And certainly if you're less damaged than I was or am, you will even do better. A lot of doctors, particularly in Canada, can't even talk to you about this. I've tried. They just they'll just say we don't know. We don't know. Oh, it's experimental. That's the big thing you'll get in Canada. Everything's experimental if it's not on the menu in Canada, right? For our medical system, it's all experimental, except three-quarters of the world is doing it. But okay, it's still experimental. From what I've researched, France is quite advanced in this. Oddly, I thought. Yes, there are places that you'll hear about with Joe Rogan and Panama and various things. Fine, research it. Um, Trust that your doctor knows what they know, but also know that they don't know everything. They can't. There's just too much out there. They just can't keep up, and nor they just can't. For Canadians, our medical system is so far behind. They just, Canada is just, for the Canadians that still think Canada has the best healthcare system in the world. Oi, no. It's not the worst, but it's not the best. And there's so many things that they can't even bring up and talk about. If it's not on the menu, which means it's not covered by the Canadian healthcare system, they can't even talk to you about it. And anyone who's been down the road of cancer treatment in Canada knows this, particularly if you're looking at the newest drugs and therapies, etc. You can't even bring that conversation up with an oncologist in Canada. It's not going to happen. And I've tried with many different types of situations with people that were very close to me, and we had to try various different therapies that were not even allowed to be discussed in Canada. So you have to be your own advocate or have somebody helping you. And I know it's difficult. It can be overwhelming, but it's also exciting because you'll find out many different things. So I will sign off with this and wish you all well. Good luck. Research. Go for it. Talk. Discover. Don't be shy. Don't be backwards about it. I'm going to put it to you this way. Don't be Canadian about it. Don't be agreeable. That's not going to get you answers. It's going to get you a lot of people patting you on the head and on your hand. Woe is you, poor you, yada, yada, yada. No, 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 no. You want, okay, what can you do or can't do? That's it. Results. You want results. It's your body. It's your life. It's not your doctor's life. It's not the pharmacist's life. It's not your uncles or your aunts or your moms and dads. It's yours. So, and it's not the government's. So you have to decide on certain things. Be brave. Ask questions. Be a little relentless. I hate to say this to my Canadian compadres. You got to be a little more American about it sometimes, because you're not going to get that from Canada. It's just, it'll be rare if you do. So all the best. And keep in mind that the people in the system are doing the best they can with what they're allowed to work with. Again, I'm talking to Canadians about that. Keep that in mind, because they're not trying to not help. They just they have a narrative they must follow. All the best. Talk to you soon. We'll see you in about 3 or 4 weeks. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.